Mr. Happy Living here, and I'm happy to be broadcasting from WYTV7 in the beautiful Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina, USA. Hey, friends, come and join me for a minute and imagine how amazing you'd feel living the unique and distinct life that you were put on this planet to live, doing work you love, with people you love, in places you love, and all the while creating something of real value to others. That's what I call a life of significance. And I can tell you it makes a very happy life. And so can my friend Reed Davis. And he's here to share his unique and distinct journey to his life of significance. But before we bring him on, I'd like to share a poem that we created to thank him for being our guest star today. It's called Test, Don't Guess. And it goes like this. There are those who speak in thunder and those who quietly pursue the truth, not chasing applause, but chasing answers that restore hope where despair once stood. Reed chose the harder path to listen deeply, to look beneath symptoms, to test, not guess. He's learned that healing isn't hype, it's humility, asking better questions, honoring the body's design. Where chaos seemed random, he saw patterns. Where others would assume, he chose to test, not guess. That's the deeper lesson for us all in health, in purpose, in faith. Don't settle for surface answers. Seek the truth, do the work, stay curious, because a life aligned with wisdom is a life transformed. As Reed teaches us, test, don't guess. Hey, Reed, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for that warm welcome. I appreciate it.
You're quite welcome. So, why don't you get us started by telling us what you're doing these days to make your mark of significance on the world?
I'm pursuing my lifelong dream, or at least I've had it for 30 years, to help people overcome their ills and unhappiness through testing for underlying causes and conditions, and then applying the principles of health building in their own lives. It's all a self-directed thing, but just pursuing the mission here, Matt. I started a long time ago in an office, figuring out what was really wrong with people. I got pretty good at running the labs and sorting it out, and eventually after 10 years of that, um, I was asked to teach, and I started teaching in 2008. And so in all these years, I've trained over 5,000 people how to run functional laboratory work and use all natural drug-free protocols and God to get better and to get happy.
Yeah, it's great. So you started using lab testing to identify underlying root causes of dysfunction, disease, unhealth, and that's very important. And then you started saying, "Hey, I can do that, and I can have so big a reach." But as you started teaching a process that you created, you've kind of it's been this multiplicative impact across the globe. Yes.
Yes, sir. After 10 years of working in the office, and I didn't know what I was doing when I started, frankly. I put it this way, I had a lot to learn, but I had nothing to unlearn. So I
Mhm.
just gave it an honest shot at running these functional labs. I ran thousands of labs on thousands of people for 10 years. And finally, eventually you recognize patterns, and I did, and I got pretty good at it. But just for our clinic, just for my client in Southern California, I just wanted our patients to be happy. And yet people kept telling me I should be teaching it. And one day, a lab director from one of the labs that I use, he called up and said, "Who the heck are you? How do you run so many labs?" I didn't know what he meant. I don't know. I just like it. He said, "No, no." He goes, "You run more labs than our best five customers combined.
Yeah. Yeah.
And whatever you're doing, you should be teaching it."
Yeah.
So didn't even think much of it then, but it took me about 6 months to put a few slides together. And I taught my first class. Okay, okay. I taught my first, and I loved it. I really enjoyed teaching. And then what they made me think of was, Reed, if you've helped thousands of people. What if you trained others? Think how many people would get help then. And so that's what started the whole thing off. And
And
now
and
it's a community. I'll just say this last thing about it. I taught my first class and they wouldn't go away. And they just kept following me around, like, well, what about this and that? So it developed into quite a curriculum and
yeah,
quite a course so that almost anyone can take it, learn the labs, learn the biology, the anatomy, the physiology, and then apply the principles of healing. No drugs, no surgery, just the principles of healing applied to every cell and tissue and organ in the
that's great.
body.
Yeah, that's great. That's I wanted you to tell our audience. So if you're listening and you go through this interview with Reed and you think, wow, that's something I'd be interested in doing, you have a curriculum that teaches people. So could just a regular old Joe or Joanne say, you know what, I want to get in this business and I want to become one of Reed's soldiers and join the FDN community.
Yeah, that's exactly how it works. People want to help others or even help themselves and maybe then go into helping others. So it's a complete program. It's all of the training you need to run the labs, which labs to run, how to interpret them, how to correlate them with a specific individual, the client, and then how to coach that, create a program you can have that person run so that they get better. The doctors laughed at me at first in the office at first because I wasn't a doctor. And, well, how are you going to help people? And I thought, well, because I want to, and I
Yeah,
can learn the labs, and it
yeah,
just worked out that way.
yeah. And we'll move on after this, but I experienced what you're talking about. Oh, 25 years ago. I was in my mid 30s, living in Kansas City, Kansas, went to a regular physical exam, and I got a call after the exam a couple days later. Mr. Gersper, you have high cholesterol. The doctor wants to see you. You're probably going to have to go on statins. And I thought, I didn't know anything about this. I was healthy as an ox. And we moved from Kansas to Arizona. And I went in and saw a doctor there. And I said, hey, these guys said I have to go on statins. And I don't really understand this. And he took another level of testing where he could measure the particle sizes of my cholesterol. And he says, Matt, almost all of your so-called bad cholesterol is big, fluffy cholesterol. And the chance of having a stroke or any problems from high cholesterol is nearly zero for you. Your high cholesterol is actually, or your high LDL is good, and your HDL is through the roof. And here I've not been on statins ever in my life. And if I had just listened to standard doctoring, I would have been on statins for 25 years until the end of my life.
But yes, how it works. And, the funny thing, Matt, is those people test too, but they treat the paper, not the person. They see things that they could adjust on paper by introducing an agent, like you
Yeah,
mentioned, the statins. Yeah, that'll change the numbers on the paper, but not necessarily make you healthy or take care of the problem. So it's very interesting.
yeah, I like how you say that. One more thing on this. So you have in your research I did, you talk about healing without shame, but with clarity. Tell our audience what that means.
Well, uh, you know, the clarity is simply knowing what's really wrong and how to fix it. And if you're um, not so clear, it's okay. We don't always know all of the underlying causes or conditions, but we can have an effect upon them by following the principles that we teach. And so it's really pretty simple. Um, we look for HIDDEN, that's hormone, immune, digestion, detoxification, energy production, nervous system. We look for the hidden stressors and contributors to metabolic chaos. And there's a whole constellation of things at work sort of against you. They're crashing into each other, by the way. You can't
Mhm.
even measure some of these things. So, and then apply the principles of healing. you can easily eat right, go to bed on time, exercise, reduce stress
Yeah,
in many, many ways. Take your supplements and what in again the narrow path. You know, this is
yeah,
biblical actually. It's a narrow path that leads to health and wealth and wisdom,
yeah, yeah. Good.
all the
What about
things.
the healing without shame part? What's
You
that all?
know, I have been kind of a humble guy who just knows that I'm not in charge and that I'm doing the will of um, the Lord, and so I have um, no shame in that. You know what I mean? There's just I don't know everything.
Hmm.
I don't have to know everything. I just have to follow the teaching, and I'm good. You know, and so is everybody else. I am a good teacher. I can teach. You don't have to know. Again, there's no shame in not knowing, in saying
Hmm.
I don't know. And that was how I really made it in the field. Was just people would come in and say, "Do you know what's wrong with me?" I say, "No, but we could let's see what we could do to find out." So
Yeah,
I think it was just a very casual reference to that. It's
yeah,
okay to not know, but
yeah.
as long as you're looking in the right places.
Yeah, very good. All right, Reed, let's do a little mathematics so our friends all around the world can get to know you through our happy formula. It's really simple, but it's also really powerful, and it goes like this: power plus purpose equals happy. So let's start with power. What are your personal practices for building up all the power that you need to get things done, whether it's physically, mentally, financially, spiritually, emotionally? In other words, what do you do, Reed, on a regular basis to create the power you need to take really good care of yourself and your loved ones and still have plenty of juice left over to be a giver to others?
I get up every day with my wife and we pray before we go to bed for that matter too, and even during the day and with the family and insist that that His will be done, and it's a powerful thing. I think that I can always rely on that, and so that if I don't have an answer, I still have an answer. And
Hmm.
so to me, that's very powerful. It allows you to pursue your passion and your, I think beyond passion um, is that power and purpose. You know, like you
Hmm.
mentioned it. You know this. Your audience knows this. If you don't have a purpose, you can't be happy.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, you're powerless if you have. I think if you have no purpose, if you're ambling about aimlessly, well, that's where you're going to end up. Um, Not sure I'm getting to where you want me to, but I really believe in strongly in, and I have a lot of faith that I'm doing some good in the world.
Very good. Last time, you may not remember this, but when we talked about this power section during the last interview, which is about 5 years ago, do you remember your dad's philosophy that you shared on the air?
They had a bunch of them
Early to bed, early to rise,
early
work
to rise,
home, advertise.
advertised. Yeah, that was so funny, and he said it many times. Um, so I do go to bed early. I usually have some supplements before bed as well as when I get up. They're very relaxing. They help you sleep and try to get into that deep non-REM sleep and
Hmm.
get up early. I get up so early. I beat the birds many, many, many days. Um, and of course, now I live in Florida where the birds are like huge. And they're all over my backyard here. I can see them, big giant fishing bird. I have a giant pond and
Yeah,
these
nice.
fishing birds come. So yeah, I beat the birds up. I work diligently. Usually I'm done by around now. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon my time. I don't usually work this late, but in the day because I get up so early.
Yeah, very good. All right, Reed, let's discuss my favorite power generating concept. It's called a Kaizen state of mind. And it's this beautiful Japanese idea that small incremental improvements add up over time to yield great big results. And it's so powerful because it's about mindset, not circumstance. Kaizen in life is knowing I can always do something better tomorrow than today. And it creates a gentle, relentless, never ending power that keeps lifting me higher and higher day after day after day. So, Reed, how does Kaizen in your life help you increase your power to continuously become more so you can continue giving more and impact even more lives?
You know what makes me think of right now, Matt, is I actually read some Dale Carnegie stuff 25, 30, 40 years ago. And he said how to stop worrying and start living was to, whatever's going on, you got something going on, it's unpleasant, you have to deal with something. And it could be something that's serious, or it could be something like your family's coming to town, not so bad.
Yeah.
But well, you think of what's the worst thing that could happen and improve on it. So,
Mm.
like if the worst thing that could happen to me is uh, the environment changes and I go out of business, um, it's never going to happen. But I'd still be in business. I'd find something to do that's useful, that would be productive, and helpful, and stuff. So I think it's kind of like the worry formula. You could always make small improvements,
Hmm.
whatever it is, except the worst, except, okay, it isn't so good. And then now what can I do to improve it? So
Yeah.
my wife and I discussed this very thing this weekend. It's right now forward. Like I don't have a rear view mirror, Matt.
Mhm.
I just refuse to focus on what's looking that way and instead focus on I got this great big beautiful window in front of me, or I'm out driving, or wherever you. It's your front view that matters from this moment forward. And
Yeah.
so I don't really have a past, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. All right, let's discuss purpose. We mentioned that earlier. It's the second part of the happy formula. And I've observed that major life transformations, that big discovery of purpose, sadly often comes from devastation, addiction, abuse, disease, death, disaster. Some awful thing strips a life to its core, resulting in a big, often unexpected change. However, in my book, Turning Inspiration into Action, I share the transformational process that I use to discover my purpose using inspiration. So, how about you, Reed? Was there a specific moment or event or crisis or inspiration that revealed to you the unique and distinct purpose you were meant to live?
Yeah, I think it was a combination of things. I was in the environmental law field. I was saving the whole planet, air, birds, water, trees, bees, and I enjoyed the environmental field, the conservation field. I wasn't a, uh, you know, nutcase or anything. I was actually learned how to make money doing it. So it was very practical. Cleaning up the planet
Mm-hmm.
actually is a profitable thing to do, not just altruistic. Although I've always been a Boy Scout and wanted to do good in the world. So the people I worked for, I started to notice were more focused on the money than the mission, and they
Mm.
paid me well, but I just couldn't deal with that constant pressure all the time. And at the same time, and this is what was so inspiring, Matt. Um, my son was going into a chiropractic wellness center in Southern California for high school sports. And
Mm.
I listened to those practitioners in there, and I'd never really been to the doctor except for some sports injuries, little nick here and there. But so I had no idea what illness was or was about. And they're working on my son, keeping his body in shape. And he got 7 varsity letters in 4 different sports.
Mm.
But I got a new career because after listening to them, I knew that's what instead of saving the planet, what about people,
Yeah.
including
Yeah.
myself? So then finally, a good friend of mine's dad, um, who I was very close to, he just passed away just one day, all of a sudden. And
Mm.
everyone said he was perfectly healthy,
Mm.
but he croaked. I mean, just instant, like just, I think it was a heart attack or something. He was gone in 2 days.
Mm.
Went to the hospital, done. And so it really affected me. Again, we were close, but it was more the phenomena, of what do you mean he was perfectly healthy? What do you mean?
Mm-hmm.
he couldn't have, there had to be something. No, he was normal. He was normal.
Yeah.
So I asked on that, my son, getting the, you know, varsity, he was just such a great athlete, being tuned up, no drugs, no surgery, no, just chiropractic and wellness and, diet and things like that.
Yeah.
And I listened and listened. And when they told me about innate intelligence, that every cell in your body knows what to do, doesn't
Yeah.
have to be trained or taught. I go,
Yeah.
well, where's that coming from? So anyway, that was pretty. That time period, that change of jobs, that realization, was a big part of what motivated me.
And so for our audience's benefit, because I remember this, you were in your 40s when you made
It
the
was.
big change first to go into environmental and then to functional diagnostics. That's pretty late in life to be learning new stuff. And you did it twice. And so talk to our audience about the recognition of some new sign that says this is you were getting some signs that maybe the pull through the environment into the human body. You even explained it this way. Okay, I can help the environment, that's one thing, but helping people, that's even better. So you might not have been able to get to FDN without the environment and without the first 40 years of your life. So talk about the who you were before that change, how you changed, and what was the catalyst and the fear that you had to overcome to make the change. Not for your benefit, for our audience's
Yeah.
benefit.
Uh, well, I just brought a certain, um, I'll call it, it's either naivety or something like it that just said I can learn to help people.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't have to be a doctor. Doctors, everyone walking in our office didn't like their doctor, was saying how useless they felt, and that
Yeah.
they're still suffering after seeing 5 doctors. Some had seen 10 doctors and were still suffering. So something in me, I do recall, you know, actually, I learned to do body work, and I'd be giving a neck rub to some of our chiropractic patients, and I just thought about healing, and that there's some part that I was playing in that was enough to keep me going, and while I learned, I didn't know what I needed to know. Again, I had a lot to learn, but nothing to unlearn. I just
Mm-hmm.
was kind of an open book, and I don't know if that's helpful to the audience to realize that I really felt deeply that I could help people, even if it was giving them some of my energy or, um, I'm in shape, I'm in good shape. I'll just put some of that into you through my fingertips. And I don't do body work anymore, really, but just that whole idea of I'm gonna figure this out. I'm going to sort it out where no one else, at least in that environment, no one else was doing it for those clients, for those
Yeah.
patients. And again, the doctors would laugh at me, but I would say, no, I'm going to help them. And it was
Yeah.
just, didn't know how, but I knew that I would. So if you feel like, I would say to the audience, like if you really believe something, don't discount it. And don't let anyone tell you that you can't do it. Because I'm telling you, these doctors, they're not laughing anymore.
Yeah.
Within
That's
10 years, it took me 10 years. It took
yeah.
me 10 years.
Yeah, it's not easy, but I think people, I'm glad you got right there. Don't, if you have the idea, go after it and don't let others talk you out of it. And don't let yourself talk you out of it. Right? Because that happens. We are often our own worst inner voice saying, no, Matt, you can't do this. You can't do that. My children are constantly telling me, Dad, why do you think you can do such and such? I don't know if I can do it or not, but if I don't try, I know I won't be able to do it. And
Yeah,
so I think that's what we
yeah.
want our audience to hear is, especially I'm getting more and more convicted that if you have those inner thoughts, they're coming they're coming from somewhere, probably maybe from God. And if it's coming from God and you are obedient to it, he's going to help you through it.
I feel that, I'm not always certain it's from God, but you have to have an amount of faith that keeps you persistent. The other thing is, I never liked a quitter. I've just seen so many people quit, and like I have 50 people work for me, and it's tough. And plus my course that I teach is hard. It's master's degree, if not PhD level
Hmm.
stuff. It's anatomy and physiology and biochemistry, and I just don't quit. Just don't quit. And if you quit, yeah, you're not gonna make it. It's just like relationships. I'm married, and I just will not ever give up. I'm determined that I'm
Yeah.
with the woman I'm supposed to be with, and that we're gonna, I mean, we love each other. There's nothing abusive going on, but you know what I mean. Like sometimes you get pretty frustrated, right? And you just have to have that faith that you're doing the right thing. As
Yeah.
long as you're not being a creep or bad person.
Yeah. That's it. Okay, Reed, thanks for that. Now let's take a quick commercial break so our sponsor can spread a little love with our audience.
Are you ready to transform your life? At happyliving.com, we've discovered 4 keys to help you live with purpose, joy, and significance. Unlock your truth with the Happy Quiz. Unlock your happy formula with inspiring stories from the Something Significant Show. Unlock your roadmap to happiness with our free ebook, Making Your Mark of Significance. And unlock your inspired life with our life-changing e-course, The Philosophy of You and Your Inspired Life. This is your time to shine. Go to happyliving.com now and click Unlock the Power of You. Unlock your power. Live your best life. happyliving.com.
Hey, Charlotte, it's time to get ready. Get set. Let's work. Mark your calendars for April 24th and join us for WYTV7's Financially Lit and Fit Expo. We're bringing together youth innovators, community leaders, sponsors, vendors, and employers for a powerful day of financial literacy, career readiness, and opportunity. Showcase your brand, connect with motivated students, and make an impact that lasts. Don't miss it. Save the date for April 24th. For more information, visit WYTV7.org. WYTV7 is empowering minds and building futures.
And we're back, and this is the Something Significant Show, and I'm your host, Matt Gersper. And my special guest star today is Reed Davis, founder of Functional Diagnostic Nutrition and a pioneer in functional lab testing who spent decades helping practitioners and clients move beyond guesswork and toward root cause healing. Driven by curiosity, integrity, and a relentless pursuit of truth, Reed has equipped thousands to ask better questions, interpret data wisely, and restore hope through informed action. Reed, I love how you teach us to test and not guess. And I think you're going to love this article that I found. It's called The Science Behind the Power of Giving. It revealed something really powerful, that the simple act of giving can become a gateway to discovering your reason for being on the planet. Science confirms that when we give our time, talents, and treasure, it doesn't just help others, it transforms us too. Giving helps us rise above obstacles, it helps us find meaning, and it even helps us discover our purpose. So I've updated our formula. Power plus purpose plus giving equals really happy. So how about you, Reed? Has giving your time, talents, and treasure been a powerful pathway for discovering your purpose and for getting through hardships and for bringing real meaning into your life?
Well, I'm reminded every day by people that I'm in contact with that we're on a mission for sure. when you're in this position I'm in, it's you can get discouraged, but man, thank God for the community around
Mm.
me of um, thoughtful, caring, purpose-driven people who see that in me, and they kind of join our mission. You know, we're all on a mission to help others, and I do it through lab testing and natural protocols and health coaching, and they all sort of seem to love that. So they remind me every day, and it has a life of its own. I'll say that it actually has a life of its own. Like I kind of work for it rather than it work for me. And I'm a good leader and I'm a good businessman and lots of principles are involved. Um, I provide integrity, leadership, and things. So, and the tail doesn't wag the dog.
Mm.
We know what the guiding light and principle is. So I just kind of play by the rules as I see them.
Yeah, I like the way you said it. Giving kind of it creates a life of its own, and the science says that giving brings meaning to our lives, and the joy that we feel when you're creating value for others confirms it. But there's something deeper at work, Reed. I believe the magic of life shows up when we're giving from living in our purpose, because that's where joy doesn't just touch the receiver, but it flows to the giver too, and even to those who witness the giving. And something else happens there. Fear loses its grip, self focus shrinks, peace grows steadier, and hope grows stronger. That all comes from, I believe, aligning with purpose and becoming more so we can give more. So, Reed, I'd love our audience to witness what that magic looks like in your life. So sit back, my friend, open your heart, and have a listen to what people are saying about the impact that you're making in their lives because you're giving from living in your purpose. One person said, Reed's FDN program has allowed me to help my clients in ways I never thought possible. I've improved not only my own health, but the health of my clients as well. Another said, FDN brought me to healing opportunities that doctors never found nor had a clue of finding. Another said, Reed is a true advocate for self-healing and for creating systems and processes for holistic practitioners to feel confident and thrive in their craft. Others said he's an exceptional teacher and coach, clear, concise, articulate, brilliant, thorough, well-organized, professional, knowledgeable, inspiring, caring, supportive, and generous. Reed lives with integrity. He's passionate and dedicated, empowering, transformational. FDN is life-changing. Reed is a visionary, an industry pioneer and leader. He's made a huge impact in the wellness industry. And finally, this person said simply, with FDN, I now have a career that I love and am passionate about, and I have a purpose to help others heal and feel great so they can live their best lives. So, Reed, how does all that incredible love make you feel?
Full and thankful, grateful. Always when you're giving, blessings will return embarrassingly in abundance, embarrassingly. And I've just kind of known. I don't want to say it's hard because I'm always struggling for that that understanding. Um, if you're giving, you're going to receive, and so why not give a lot? And I give money, time, encouragement. Someone called me yesterday, Sunday afternoon, from the other side of the country, who was struggling with something, and I just gave it my best shot. Hey, here's what I do, and they thought it was very helpful and kind and considerate, and texted me afterwards and things like that. Matter of fact, that happened twice yesterday. Very weird Sunday, but you just will then uh, experience a peace and a joy and to me, I just keep going back to faith, Matt. I just going back to, well, this is how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
God said, and it's true. I have never felt betrayed in any way by that. You know, I give in weird ways too. I'll see people like very unfortunate, downtrodden people in the street. I've emptied my pockets,
Mhm.
my ashtray, just everything, every dime I have on me, and given it to a person. And most might say, "Oh, they're just going to go buy drugs," or "You're not helping them. They need to go get a job and quit begging."
Mhm.
And so I say, "No. What I get out of that is so much more than the lousy $100 I ended up giving them. You know, like, and I'm generous too. You know, my wife is always amazed at, and people. In addition to that list of things you said, I get told I'm quite generous, and I just see it. It all comes back so much more.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing, you know,
Yeah.
that it's almost shameful to me in some ways. That
It's a really liberating thing to realize. I spent the first half of my life, I've even written about this, where I was giving, I would donate, but it was all transactional. And it was to make, to give my business something. It wasn't usually about me, it was usually for my business, but nevertheless, it was transactional. I was giving and I wanted something for it. And that's not giving. And so
right.
when you're just giving and not expecting anything in return, when you cross that Rubicon, it's very liberating, isn't it?
It is. And you know what? The truth is, some of those people, maybe they do go buy drugs, you know, but it doesn't alter the principle of outflow, you know, because you're outflowing, you're making room for something to come back. Even
Yeah.
if they're, you know, um, messing it up somehow, the principle remains. If you're,
Yeah.
you know, if you're in a relationship and you're having trouble, try giving what
Yeah.
you're looking for, what you're expecting, what you want, go give it. And I'm telling you, it's almost it's almost embarrassing how well
Yeah.
it works.
Very good. Well, and that's it, folks. That's what this show is all about. We're here, Reed and me and all our guest stars, to encourage you, our listeners, to look for that same magic of giving from living in your purpose, because it's available for you, it's available for everyone, and it comes from this great big happy circle. Giving your time, talents, and treasures is a powerful pathway for discovering your purpose, and giving from living in your purpose brings a deep joy to you and to those around you too. So, Reed, it seems that giving leads to purpose and giving from purpose leads to joy. So if I'm going to capture the entire exponential power of our happy formula, let me tweak it a tiny bit more to power times purpose times giving equals happy to the third power. And that's really, truly, deeply happy. Does that sound about right to you?
Sounds wonderful, Matt. I'm with you, and I appreciate you. You're quite remarkable, and thank you.
Thank you. All right, Reed. So you were on the show nearly 5 years ago, episode 57. This time you're episode, I forget what you are, 216, I think.
Boy.
No, 5 years. And when your colleague asked if you could come back on the show, two things instantly popped into my mind. Yes, I'd love that. And no, we weren't going to do an alumni update. We have a format for people who've gone off and written a book or done a really big different thing in their life. And you're really doing the same work. So I said, we're not going to do an update because you're doing the same work, but you're not the same man. And this is still called something significant, but it's not the same show. And I was brought to mind of this quote from Heraclitus, who once said, "No man ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river, and he's not the same man. The river moves, we move, the work deepens, the wisdom refines, the edges smooth, convictions sharpen. And today we've stepped back into the river together, not to revisit who you were, but to explore who you've become." So I'd like to complete that exploration with our lightning round of quotes. You know, I love the power of words and how a single sentence can sometimes expose something deeper in us. As I was preparing for our interview today, a few quotes came to mind, not because they're famous, but because they echoed something of your spirit. So I'm going to read each one and ask you to share the first thoughts that come to your mind. No filtering, no fixing, just straight shooting right from your heart, Reed. You ready? Here we go. From C.S. Lewis. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less.
Man, Brother Lewis. Yeah, I love C.S. Lewis, and that's a good quote from him. He wrote one of my favorite books, and the letters to the junior devil, wonderful
Oh,
book.
yeah. Screw tapes.
Screw tape letters.
Yes, I've heard. I haven't read that yet, but I hear it's really a fascinating book. Okay, this one comes from Bruce Lee. He said, absorb what is useful, discard what is not, add what is uniquely your own.
Yeah, I think of that's exactly how I operate. Just taking it all in, add something of yourself to it, and people, and you run it up the flagpole, see who salutes.
Yeah, that's right. This one's from Viktor Frankl, who said, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves.
Amen. Well, that man was being tortured while in a German prison camp, and he was a psychologist, and he stayed alive by realizing that they'd hurt him all they could, and they couldn't hurt him anymore.
Yeah.
And so what was left over was the real Dr. Frankel, and they couldn't take that away.
Yeah, he was clear down to the spirit. You can't touch the spirit.
Yeah, they just hard thing to go through. Yeah.
It puts things in perspective, doesn't it? How can you have a bad day when you know about Viktor Frankl's story?
Yeah, he created a therapy out of that called logotherapy that was very meaningful. It's a way that you handle challenges. And by the way, it's again biblical. We're told that the Lord won't put anything on you that you can't handle.
Right, right. Very good. This is from Pablo Picasso. He said, the meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away.
Well, he certainly gave a lot away. But he also knew how to make a buck, that guy. I don't know what to say about that. I thought he was a little less altruistic than that, but God bless him, good artist.
Yeah, yeah. All right, this is our show anchor. It's from Goff. He said, whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now.
Yeah, well, there's no time like the present, is there? I don't know Goth as well as everyone else that you mentioned, the quotes and things, but I guess I could buy that. I'm not feeling particularly astute about that one, but man, anything coming out of your mouth is gold. So trying to go there with you.
All right, Reed. So these quotes and your responses reveal something that hasn't changed in 5 years, which is your humility, your clarity, and your commitment to give away what you've learned. So thank you for stepping back into that river with us again, my friend. And friend, friends out there, if Reed's story has inspired you, if it lifted your spirit and got you thinking about healing without shame, but with clarity in your own life, or even in the lives of others, then I invite you to share that energy with the incredible team at WITV7 who make this show possible. They're a 501c3 charity on a mission to educate, empower, and encourage people in need. Every gift matters, big and small. With your support and their tireless work, lives are being transformed and our circle of love keeps expanding. So donate today because it'll do good. It'll make you feel good too. And Reed, I love the quiet conviction that you bring to your work, the way you pursue truth without ego and teach others to think more deeply about their health and their lives. and I admire your discipline, your humility, and your unwavering commitment to integrity in a world that often settles for an easy way out. And I'm super happy that you've shared your curious, principled, and courageous spirit in our show today. Would you please take a minute or two and share any parting remarks you'd like to leave with our audience?
Well, like my dad said, early to bed, early to rise, right? But the the faith that you're not responsible for everything. You're responsible for your actions and for living in integrity and things. But when bad stuff happens, you have to look to a higher cause or purpose or power for the acceptance and realize you can't control everything. So I try not to control stuff. I try to, like you say, step in the river, go with the flow. And yeah.
Something I've just been thinking about lately, Reed, and you've kind of touched on it there. It's obedience, not outcomes. If I can get up and do the work and not worry so much about what's created from that work, let that go to the higher power, and just get up the next day and do the work again and not worry about the results of the work, man, that's a much easier way just to go through life and live without worry, huh?
Sometimes I remember when I'm praying to say, I pray and you kind of ask for things. You sure would wish it would kind of go this way or go that way, whatever it is to say. But if you have something better in mind,
Yes.
I'll take that too.
Very good. Thank you for that, Reed. And friends, it's because of stories like Reed's and listeners like you that we've been named one of the top 100 life purpose podcasts worldwide, ranked at 17th. So thank you. I appreciate your support for our mission and for sharing these stories of inspiration and purpose. I also want to thank WITV7 for hosting and promoting our show so we can keep interviewing inspiring guest stars like Reed and reaching folks just like you, ready to create your own extraordinary lives. And most especially, thank you, viewers and listeners. You'll find links to social media and all things Reed Davis. Find him, friend him, follow his work, and explore what he's building in this world. Explore his programs, explore his teaching, explore his mission, and even learn how to build your own thriving health practice from scratch. You'll find all the links in the show notes. And if Reed's journey has motivated you, consider sharing this episode with someone who needs to hear it today. And from me to you, dear friends, I love you and I want you to be really, truly, deeply happy too. So go to happyliving.com right now and click Unlock Here and start unlocking the life you were meant to live, one that's filled with purpose and joy and real significance. And as you start unlocking, think about what we can do together, you and me, to improve the happy of your world, one person at a time. Till next time, I'm Matt Gersper. You are awesome. And this is the Something Significant Show. And we're out.